Welcome to BeerNet Radio. Listen to on every continent except Antarctica. B-E-E-R-R-N-E-T.
Beer.
BeerNet Radio.
Yeah, big pizza party.
Oh man. So, well, now hold up here. She left you with the baby alone?
Yeah, not during the day. She's with grandma right now. But
Well, no, I'm not worried about where you're working. Don't worry about that. I'm worried about you taking care of a baby alone. So, has that happened before overnight? I guess so.
yeah, one time.
And you did okay, I'm assuming?
Yeah, well, I'm getting to do it again. So,
That doesn't mean anything.
yeah, that just means Les wants to get out. No, it went well. I mean, she sleeps great, so she goes down at 7. So it's really just between 4 and 7. That's the hectic time.
I'm setting up also while I'm podcasting because I can do two things at once. I did get a new iPad because I go through periods where I love the iPad, right?
Yeah.
I can't get enough of the iPad. And then I get tired of the iPad and I give it away. And then I go a few years on the laptop. And now I'm just,
You're missing your iPad again?
yeah, I don't know why. It's just another thing to carry. It doesn't do anything better. In fact, it's worse. Now, the one thing, it was lighter. Now it's just as heavy as the MacBook Air, if not heavier. I don't know if they put lead in this thing.
I wonder, can you set up an Aweber with the iPad? Push the issue out?
I'm going to try that. I'll try it tonight. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you can't do it on your phone, and that would be awesome if you could, just in case you were ever in a
Are they
pinch.
still using Flash? Is that the issue? Aweber's still using Flash, a 90s technology that's been done. All right, let's let Bill Shufelt in.
Hey, how's it going?
Good
Hey,
afternoon, Bill. How are you?
Great, thanks. Can you guys hear me?
I
yeah.
can hear you good, yeah.
Awesome.
Can you hear us, more importantly?
Yeah, good to go here.
Okay, good. Well,
Great to see you in person yesterday.
yeah, it was good. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to you more. There was people there, other people are just a problem. But yeah, this is Bill Shufelt at the Athletic Brewing, and Bill, I don't know if your ears were burning about a week ago, but we talked about you on this very podcast, BeerNet Radio, the podcast where all your dreams come true.
I heard, long-time listener, second-time caller. So
Yeah. So anyway, congratulations on your round, D round, 75 million raised, 50 from KDP. Leaving your options open, but a good partner to have is what I'm hearing from you. And plus it's nice to have 75 million in your back pocket. But you've also got expenses, and you're ramping up. You 3 breweries, and so tell me where you are in production, and then we can get to kind of sales and marketing. But like, you're in 50 states. How are you on production and supplying the markets?
yeah, I think things we've talked about in person at your conferences and others, and I've been a huge proponent of brand building, marketing, saying that craft beer under indexes in marketing. But also I think for a long time being commercial hasn't been cool. But especially in an economy like this, I think there's nothing cooler than having a financially stable company that provides great jobs for people. And so, like, I'm really first and foremost looking out for our teammates, our partners, things like that on the road ahead. And the goal is to build a long-term stable company. And this essentially provided us like our permanent capital to get to profitability with a super strong partner who knows what the road ahead looks like. And, now we've got a great supplier partner in our boardroom who can help us scale, but also like that pairs with a lot of great partners we have in the industry who I have the ear of as well. So we feel really well advised and positioned for the road ahead. And so that was a big part of this for sure. And yeah, it's I think different with Athletic than a lot of I heard the discussion last week about profitability and everything. It's not that our unit economics aren't great. Like we're
Right.
raising a ton of money because we're investing unlike anyone else in our facilities, quality, our people. Um,
Yeah,
so
when we were remarked upon like, it's surprising it's still unprofitable, but I also didn't really think about the three huge production facilities that you've built, because I still, everybody's a contract brewer to me in my mind. I always that's why I led with production, because I forget production to me is something that's done by other people in another land, and and we all forget about it because what you're doing is very unique. Most entrepreneurs start and they contract brew, right? The production's the last thing that you think of, but for this product, I think it's really important because getting it right is not easy, right? And so you have put a big chunk of investment into that, and so you're looking long term is what I'm hearing you say.
yeah, and anyone who's built a manufacturing business knows, and like we built and then we learned. But if you operate facilities at not full capacity, it's bad business, and that's why you hear anyone from our industry, the ball, and everyone who runs manufacturing businesses. You've got to scale that manufacturing and sales so perfectly in timing, and so we're finally at a good spot where we've learned to do that. And but yeah, most of the money we've raised has gone right into the ground to build good manufacturing where we can make really differentiated high quality beer with our own people manning every piece of equipment throughout the building, and then um, also investing into the markets. So it's not like we're just pumping all this money into digital advertising and it goes into the ether. It's
Because that's what I
actually
thought, exactly what I thought you did.
yeah. And actually, Ed from Manhattan Beer, I thought, put it incredibly well on stage yesterday at the conference for about that. But talking about the four things that suppliers need to do, and it's marketing your product and have people go into the shelf looking for your product. It's people in markets building those local relationships with distributors and retailers, and being top of mind of people in person, and then having chain teams landing those placements. And so we've invested a lot into all those areas to make sure that the brand pulls at retail and that there's people on the ground. And we've invested a lot in our brand. I think in with any distributor relationship across any state, we've over invested in CPC across the board everywhere we do business. So
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present Jordan Driggers. Jordan Driggers, everybody. Jordan,
Okay.
welcome to the call. And I wanted to welcome you because if I'm trying to become more cognizant of hogging the mic, Bill, because other people do have a point of view. And it's not all about me, apparently, which I hate. But
Did you
so,
just forget your next question? Is that why you're calling me on?
yes, that's exactly
sorry,
it.
I probably
No.
also went a mile too deep on profitability there as well.
No,
Sorry, Jordan.
no, that was perfect. Going back to KDP, Bill, I'm sure you've talked to a lot of large players in the beverage industry, and I'm just wondering, who seems to be more bullish on non-alc beer? Is it, is it the big brewers or some of the big, soda, big beverage players? Have you kind of got a feel for that?
Yeah, I don't want to say I have a pulse on what everyone thinks for sure. It's I would say this investment we did talk to like both traditional funding like VC, private equity, family offices, and beverage strategics, and this was really won by KDP. It's I mean it like people when we got in the room with, we were like, wow, these are really collaborative, fast moving people. And one of the scariest things for Athletic is like we consider ourselves such innovators, fast moving company that likes to invest deeply. And the scariest thing to us was getting someone from any of those buckets of types of investors in our boardroom or that would slow us down. And so at the end of the day, this was a supplier to supplier relationship with people we really liked, and we would get off phone calls or in person meetings and like, wow, they're dynamic, and right from the top to Bob Gamgord and Justin Whitmore, two really special people, and we're excited to work with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are good folks, and you know, you've said that this doesn't affect distribution at this time at all. Beer distributors been good partners, seems like, and when you think about Athletic, one of the things that I've been thinking about in anticipation of talking to you is this is everybody's dream, right? To find an overlooked, underinvested category in beverages and to build just a quality brand in that category. Easier said than done. And non-alc beer has been neglected, and especially in America. And you've come in and helped change that. But playing devil's advocate, is there a ceiling on that consumer? You know, and I see that you're the second biggest adult brand in Whole Foods, and that's great. But does that also kind of scare you that's, you know, there's a limit to the high end kind of high end drinker, or have we just scratched the surface? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking one of the most delusionally optimistic people in the industry. Like, does does his category have a future? And I think a big part of that is John, our co-founder. When I set out on this, I never expected to find a business partner who is as talented and incredible as he is. And I think John had won basically every award on the alcoholic side. And so now non-alcoholic beer has probably the most talented person who's ever worked on non-alcoholic beer in the industry for the first time. And in that, you know, I think these are really durable mega trends. It's, you know, and I think the economists in the industry have really come around to this, like Bart and Lester and Danelle. Like, it's to hear Lester talk about the opportunity here and encourage everyone in the industry to get into the category. Like, I'm right there. My goal is to, whether you're drinking or not drinking, any day of the week, to be able to pull out a menu and be like, I want this kind of beer, wine, spirits. And like tonight, it's not going to be alcoholic, it's going to be non alcoholic. But like, you know, the same trucks, the same retailers, everyone is selling the same products. So it's incremental business. And those are just cases and beverages that wouldn't have gotten drunk historically. But I do think that that pool of population, so there are so many people who are either lapsed or maybe considered to never enter the adult beverage industry in its current form. We have a chance to invite them back into the beer aisle for the first time in 5, 10, 20 years, or for the first time ever. But also, like, 80% of our customers are big customers of the category, now drinking on other nights of the week, other hours of the day, shopping in other shops on premise. And so I think this is an unlock that, you know, I'm really glad we haven't had the boom bust type cycle that some other categories have, because it's the category growing at 20-30% a year every year is great for me. And I hope I think that's the pace that people are just realizing, oh wow, I can have an awesome beer any day of the week. And you know, it's 11:44 a.m. and I had a cold beer on my desk. And that's just like, that's not me running my business. That's me just loving a cold beer at noon because it's a possibility now.
Right. And by the way, I think you're right. I really do. And I was a skeptic at first as well, like a lot of people, I think, in the beer business, because, you know, it's been tried before. It just wasn't tried the right way and at the wrong time. And there's a lot of winds in your back with health and wellness and people just not drinking as much ethanol.
Sorry, on that last
Yeah.
point, I think it's a rounding error, honestly, how much ethanol people drink. It's like as we zoom in and out over long time periods, it's pretty consistent. But like it's not like a new temperance movement or sobriety. I think so many people miss that, and they're like, "Oh, here comes sober Gen Z." It's not necessarily that. It's everyone, mostly people who drink alcohol, now drinking more times during the week and loving it. So.
Right.
That's
a good point, because like you said, like Lester says, it's 2.5 gallons. It's always been 2.5 gallons. It sometimes goes to 2.55, you know, but it's 2.5 gallons of pure ethanol a year. And what happens underneath that is a lot of clawing and scratching and moving around.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that you've done very well is the branding of it and your brand marketing component. And when you started out, it was very athletic. It was kind of runners and was your focus, which makes sense. As you've moved on to a broader base of drinkers, has your message changed, or is it still pretty much the same as when you started?
Yeah, our goal right out of the gate was to work really hard to just like obliterate the stigma. And so non-alcoholic beer had always been this penalty box. Like if you're drinking it, like it's not a great situation you're in. And we wanted to like hit that really hard and flip it on its head. So, getting the fittest person in your community drinking our beer, or the most like aspirational positive lifestyle, and then then it all ladders out from there, where like me as a suburban father, like yeah, I may only have 20 minutes, but like 20 minutes to work out, and like so I grab the stroller, run my kid around the block, but like still want to have a beer that like makes me feel aspirational. So like kind of laddering out to make it really approachable to anyone, anywhere. And so, yeah, we started with like elite Ironman type racers, and building out to like musicians, celebrities, and stuff like that.
So your message has stayed consistent as you've grown, and your marketing has increased. Tell me about the feet on the street. How do you gauge like when you enter a new market? How do you go about that?
Yeah,
And you don't have you don't have draft and things like that, right?
yep, not yet at least. So actually, we are piloting draft selectively. So
Oh, I
but
told you we'd get some news out of him, Jordan.
yeah,
Yeah, see, that's how you work, old Bill. You just you say something that's
Just poke and
to be
prod.
true.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm a total open book. So
Yes.
but
Way to
it's
go public.
uh,
Just kidding.
we've definitely been like one of the scariest things in the world to me would be to like send beer and just be like, oh, hope it sells well, and like not support it at all, not have anyone on the ground. So we do try to have a full-time person in the market who's essentially like CEO of that state when we go live. And our sales team is just incredible people, and we have regional managers and a whole national chain team. And so yeah, I would say like so whatever our CPC budget is, we agree to distributors on. Athletic usually goes 50% above that also in supporting our local markets. And yeah, we invest really heavily in where we go to business, and that's both. We do a lot of sampling. So it's obviously a growth category, and people kind of need to taste it to get it. So I think we did 2,500 in-person activations and samplings this year, something like that.
That's expensive, but it seems to work because it kind of fans out. People talk and on social media, and so I think sampling is that it was in favor, and then it's lost favor, and then now it's gained favor again now that the pandemic's over, because it's necessary, and especially for emerging market now, or category rather. Now you have a pretty robust capturing system of capturing who your drinkers are, and some of that's, I guess, through DTC and events and stuff. And so how does that work in, and how important is that to you as you develop new markets?
Yeah, it's really most helpful in new existing markets. Anything, our first party data, and ability to acquire new customers digitally is is probably the single best way to support both of the other tiers of business. We're bringing in over 10,000 new customers a month digitally, and over half of them buy at retail within the first 90 days. So like the more we share with our distributor partners, the bigger supporters they are of our D2C. So it's kind of just one way of us developing the market. But at the end of the day, most people prefer to buy all goods at the store anyway. So we drive a lot more people that direction than would ever leave the store and come by on our website. So, and our retailers and distributors love that. Like all of our innovation happens, and our mistakes happen, and everything happens in that channel. And by the time we get it out to retail, it's a very streamlined approach where, we're not asking them to sell 27 SKUs or 18 different kinds of IPAs every year. We're asking them to sell 5 really focused products, and they're going to be really well supported. And so
Yeah.
I think it's a win-win-win for all 3 tiers for sure.
I do too. I think the few distributors that just blanket oppose DTC it's a little bit short-sighted because it's not a lot of volume. As I've always said, beer is what, Jordan?
Heavy.
Beer is heavy, especially relative to its price. So it doesn't make sense to sip it to your house. And you have to have an ID, you have to be there. There's a lot of reasons, and it's a great proving ground. Exactly what you said. Why are you going to come in with 8 SKUs if you already know which 3 are going to really hit in that particular market already? Do you do a lot of paid social media, or is it more, I don't know what else? I'm trying to think of the right terms to use. I know what I'm thinking of. I just don't have the language.
I would say under the marketing sun, we do everything. So it's there's so many tools out there, and some are paid, some are organic. Like, we do a ton of behind the scenes stuff at our breweries and our team in the world, and so we're really trying to just get our authentic brand voice out there to the community. So
Right. And does it mirror real beer? Not real beer, alcohol beer. It's all real beer. Okay, let's just get that out of the way.
for sure.
This is all real beer. Is it same with alcohol craft beer, that it's like hazy IPAs the big thing? I mean, what kind of styles are you seeing take off with this category?
Yeah. Our portfolio is pretty balanced. Like, Run Wild is our biggest award winner. It's our highest velocity SKU. It's our most well distributed SKU. Still only at 17% national ACV, so there's a huge opportunity there. But that's like kind of a very approachable West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
But like, none of our beers are over 30% of our portfolio, so it's pretty balanced. But IPAs are definitely the leading styles. Our Athletic Light is coming on really strong. So Athletic Light doesn't have many chain placements, so that kind of knocks out 50% of our business right there from that beer, but it's almost 10% of our business. And it just won a global gold medal at the World Beer Awards for best non-alcoholic lager, which, like, as everyone knows, like, European non-alcoholic lagers is a huge thing. And it won a bronze medal at the Euro Beer Star too, which is a huge European competition. So Athletic Light is definitely one to look out for in the years ahead for sure.
Huh.
I'm going to try to get a few questions in here real quick. Harry mentioned draft earlier, so I have to ask about the on-premise partnership with Buffalo Wild Wings. Y'all, I think y'all got in right before football season. So how has that been so far?
Great. I think they're very forward-looking category partners for sure. So I really admire how they build their menus and their sets. So it's been a great relationship, and we're definitely investing there. And we've had a lot of on-premise wins, everything from hotels to experiential stuff to bars and restaurants. But bars and restaurants are about a third of our buying account base these days.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Okay.
So you're in all 50 states, you're penetrating the on-premise, you've got plenty of marketing with ads and partnerships with professional and collegiate athletes. Is there another lever that y'all are kind of eyeing to pull?
The work's just starting. It's just because you turned on a state doesn't mean like you've got the state covered. It's like we've still got to go up and down the street and sell in hundreds of accounts in every state. It's accounts aren't going to open themselves, and we rely on our partners to make the deliveries after we do that. But we're kind of eyes wide open that we need to invest in opening accounts, doing the marketing, building the business. And so it makes it a lot easier for chain buyers to more easily turn on our brand if we have a better distribution network. But up and down the street, we're putting in a ton of work. So that's going to be a 2, 3, 5 year effort to get these ACVs up for sure.
Right. And the reason I ask that is because it seems like, craft brewers, when they obviously you still want to penetrate into the markets you're in, but it seems like once they reach a point kind of where it seems y'all are at right now, the next kind of step is expanding pack sizes, going beyond 6 packs, getting into single serves. Is that something that y'all think about? Is that something that makes sense for non-alc beer? Have you tested any of these types of
For
packs?
sure. Yeah, right pack, right price, right channel. It all applies. Same stuff applies to non-alcoholic beers. It does alcoholic beer. So we're definitely trying to service our third tier customers as best we can. But it's I think craft beer tends to over innovate on either brand or packaging rather than like talking about what is great about their company. And like so we're trying to over index on like being in person, being there, making sure people know about our brand, and rather than like hyper innovating for the reason of innovating, we want to like pitch our most highly awarded and fastest velocity SKUs. So
Your plan and your growth has been very deliberate, and it's exceeded, I would say, your expectations and everybody else's. I mean, is that fair to say, Bill? I mean, when you started out, did you think you would grow? What's your barrelage now? Like 100? How much
Over.
do you?
yeah, we don't really provide real time or forward looking business updates as a private
Oh,
company, but
okay. Okay.
yeah,
But
we did 105,000 barrels last year, and
so
we passed that in early
200
August.
and you'll do 200 and something thousand this year, probably, if we had to do math, which we don't do very well on this
That's our guess.
podcast. But yeah, let's just say 200 and change. So, um, that's a big brewer. Like, I mean, to go from that, what did you start? 2018? That is, that's very almost unheard of. It reminds me of Boston Beer, honestly, except that he was a contract brewer. But he was so, Jim was so deliberate in his, he took things slowly, even though it seemed really fast, it still was methodical, and he didn't skip any steps. And I see that with you, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe, who knows, you might be the next, who's that crypto guy? Friedman? What's his name? Fry?
He has much better hair. That's a lot to live up to. But
You think that's better hair, huh? You think that's better? No, I'm gonna cut this in post because I'm not making a good point. But I guess the point I'm making is you seem very. Let me get back on track. You seem very methodical, and it's worked. And so, does that surprise you, or is it just kind of on plan?
So it was a fun time yesterday catching up with my co-founder John and our COO Jamie, and it's really such a team effort. Like even if John and I had the biggest vision ever 5 years ago, it couldn't have happened without Jamie and our facilities team getting the new brewery up in 10 months under budget. And like there's so many people across the country on our team that are like just doing great things. And but I think the category is still just there hiding in plain sight. Athletic is only doing so much marketing. We're one company. We really admire what Heineken Zero has done in the category. And I think there's just awareness in the category is still super low. And,
Yeah.
it sounds delusionally optimistic, but there's probably as much beer to be sold outside of traditional beer drinking occasions than there is inside beer drinking occasions that the beer world's still missing. And
Right.
so, I mean, it's literally just brick by brick, 1,000 decisions like every week, every day. But it's fun to zoom out and see how far the categories come, but it's still just like a baby step to where it's going, I think.
Right. And when Heineken and Peroni and everybody, AB, when they invest heavily in this category, does that scare you, or does that say, hey, well, it's validating the category?
It's awesome. I mean, the goal was like this company started because I was a guy who loved beer and just had huge pain points when you'd go out to restaurants and not be able to get anything decent on a non-alcoholic menu. And if you can open up a bar menu or look at tap handles and everything and get just as good options non-alcoholic as you can alcoholic, I think that's great. And it'll continue to knock down walls and stigmas. And so we're super happy to have the help built in the category. And are just really confident in what we've built, kind of the moats behind us, but also like where the category is going. Honestly, I would say we spend like 1/10% thinking about competition.
Yeah. Well,
Have you seen most retailers expanding their shelf space for non-alc? for the coming year.
For sure. I think a few leading retailers have shown people that there's tens of millions of dollars just sitting in the existing same shelf space if they just turn over the set. Like, don't have to move the dimensions, anything. Just product assortment is tens of millions of dollars of unlock. And a few retailers have shown that, and we're seeing the whole category turn pretty quickly for fall and spring resets.
Okay, so you've started to see some of those older non-alc brands that come to mind get replaced with newer, fresher non-alc brands.
Yeah, it's yeah, trying to think of the right way to phrase that, but it's there is some element of churn in the category, but there's a lot more discovery than churn going on, I would say.
Okay.
They don't have much space to begin with. So I
Yeah,
guess
it
is what
was-
you're saying. For a non-alc, it's very high margin. And like you said, it could be incremental. You know, even off premise, it could be incremental if you're going at the end of the night, or if if you want something that's for your people that don't drink, or you want to drink longer than you thought you were. I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I'm getting at.
But so just in the last 24, 36 hours, I bumped into 5 different people who've said, Athletic is now my final 2 beers of every night when I'm out at the bar. It's like I have 2 alcoholic drinks, and I used to only order 2 drinks, and now I order 4 or 5 drinks. And
Right.
like it so succinctly summarizes the opportunity. And these are people who have always loved beer, always will love beer, but now having like 1 or 2 non-alcoholic beers in a session, which would have been absolutely unheard of 5-10 years ago.
Right. And by the way, Jen apologizes. She's a little under the weather. She wanted to be on here, and she also mentioned last week that Athletic is her number one brand. She spends more on Athletic than any other single beer brand. So, and she drinks a lot. So it's not, she's not a teetotaler over there. She's kind of a drunk actually. So that should.
I appreciate how forward-looking you guys have always been. It's when Jen and Jordan talked to me and John at I forget if it was CBC or GABF super early on. I was like, I can't believe legitimate beer outlets are talking to us. It's it's like so. We really appreciate how forward-looking you guys are.
Yeah, well, it's anything that's incremental. I mean, I think if I had to say that's, there's always a buzzword every few years in the industry, right? It's health and wellness, and right now it's incrementality, because everybody's waking up that same 2.5 gallons is not going to change. So we need to think about incrementality and occasionality, and that extra beer, that extra drink, that extra occasion, blah, 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 blah. And so it does fit. It really does fit in a lot of areas that people are thinking about and focusing on, both within the industry and within the consumer base. And that's rarely aligned when the industry and the consumer are actually moving in the same direction. It's a rare magic. And I think that's what we're seeing here.
I think it's going to happen in a big way in the next 2 to 3 years. I think we've really been base building here and like awareness building in the industry. And I think clearing up some of the misconceptions that like, yes, this is incrementality, not a new temperance movement. And also like, we've had some distribution partners for 2+ years even who don't still really get the opportunity. We have amazing partners in the middle tier 2 who have really bought into this opportunity, but I think some people still see it as a threat, and so maybe don't pitch it. And I think as the industry comes around to it and realizes, wow, this is a lot of extra cases on every drop potentially, and so we should be opening up every independent, every chain account we can. I think there's just a huge amount of opportunity there.
Absolutely. Even if it does take away from beer sales, at least you're the one carrying it. I mean, you want it to go to you, right? That's why I don't know. I go back and forth on the energy drink thing. People are like, I don't want to take it because it's going to get yanked away. But I'm like, yeah, but if you make $10 million in gross profit in the meantime, that's better than the kick in the pants, right? But they're like, yeah, we have to ramp up, and then you have to fire people. I'd rather not have the 10 million so I don't have to fire anybody. And I guess, that's right too. I would rather have forego 10 million than have to fire Jordan. That's how much I care
Okay.
about you, Jordan. So as long as we're putting anyway, I'm making a speech and I've
Yeah.
been told not to.
We're always right there investing out in front of everyone. So it's we're committed to building our brand and being good partners for sure. So
Great. Well, thank you for being on, Bill. And Jordan, unless there's something else that we've missed.
I just had one question. It just kind of popped in my head when you were talking about people saying, the last 2 beers I drink at night are Athletic. And, since you started and to where you are now, have you seen like non-alc beer become more of a social occasion drinking than, an individual making a choice? Like people buying Athletic for a party they're about to go to, people buying a round of Athletics at the bar. Have you seen that kind of development in people accepting non-alc?
for sure,
Accepting is not a good word, but
I always hugely overweight anecdotal evidence. So like when people tell me when they're drinking Athletic, I listen. When I'm at barbecues, I'm always like checking out coolers and seeing what's moving, what's not. And I will say like any cooler I've ever put our beer in at like a barbecue or a family event, it always goes. And it's like they're not drinking it because it's me. They're drinking it because it fits perfect for them in that occasion. And so I definitely seeing those walls tumble down. And I think it makes it a lot easier when you have anyone from JJ Watt to David Chang to Carly Kloss to Naomi Osaka drinking it and talking about it. It really starts to like tackle some of those stigmas that have been left up around the category for sure.
Jordan, who was that famous actor that wanted to invest in non-alc beer? And I told him he was nuts.
Ryan Gosling.
It was right. Damn it! I just popped it in my head. I had like 4 conversations with Ryan Gosling about him.
You couldn't
This is way
subscriber up with an intro on that one.
This was way before Athletic was around, but not way before. It was just a few years ago. But anyway, if you need his agent's number, if you want to do an E-round, I'm sure he's available.
Do you have Ryan Gosling's number? Do you want to share it on air?
I do. Yeah, I do have his agent's number. Yes. All right. Well, but you know what? I think you got a good thing going, Bill. You don't need me to tell you that, but it's just I just love seeing an entrepreneurial, very thought out, very intelligently thought out, and then it actually works, and it's working very well. And I wish you well, and we'll have you on again in another 6 months to a year and check in with you if that's all right.
Thank you so much for the support and the conversation. It's glad it appears well thought out from the outside.
It does.
It does.
But
It does.
it's we psyched to see you guys in person in Florida in a few months too.
Yes,
For sure.
January 8th, be there, get out of the cold. No, dang it. I always screw up our tagline. What's the point of a tagline if you forget it? It's get out of the snow and into the know.
There you go.
All right, guys. See you later. Take care. And thank you for drinking beer.
Thank you both so much.